Hey, welcome to another live episode of GeekOutdoors.com. Now, this week, a brand new Star Wars trailer came out. It's actually for the upcoming Star Wars The Last Jedi. Official teaser trailer came out. And then it kind of gave me a thought like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about my Star Wars memories, like how I got into Star Wars, what it means to me, and then also what I think about the brand new series of actual movies that have been released and are upcoming. And so the first thing I want to talk about is this brand new trailer. Now, obviously, I think the majority of people have seen it. And so I'm just going to, as usual, just go through some of the areas, maybe through the whole trailer because it's not a real long trailer. And so whenever it starts off, I thought it was like a picture of a planet. I think most people would think that. And then as it got further, you realize it's Rey, and it looks like she's basically exhausted, and we're not sure what she's exhausted from. But as the trailer goes along, you realize that she looks like she's training with Luke. And I haven't really been paying attention too much in terms of the actual story. I haven't been on any Star Wars boards or anything, so I'm not sure if Luke is really her father or not. I'm not really sure yet, but the whole point of it is she came to this island, as you remember, or this planet from the last Star Wars The Force Awakens, and then at the end credits, as you remember, she actually met Luke Skywalker. And so that was a really great cliffhanger, but we kind of knew that was going to happen. And here, we get to see some of her power, that she's exhibiting, where she is more than likely she's really learning how to hone the force, and just like right there when, and it's only a brief second. And then she also gets to see maybe into the future because Luke is telling her to breathe and then asking her what she sees, and I think that's the broken helmet of Darth Vader. And so that is from the first one. And then we go through this weird mysterious book, and I don't know if that's a tree underneath, but it talks about balance between the the dark side and the force. And so I'm not sure whose hand that is. And then it kind of goes back to the island, where there is Rey, and as well, I'm not going to zoom here, but that is Luke, or maybe that's Luke. Yeah, that's Rey, and I'm not sure what she's practicing with there. And so just a little more practicing montage. And then it's coming out this Christmas, and then we get this really cool, there's some ATA walkers there and some spaceships, or not spaceships, but land ships, and so land speeders, and they're racing towards. And then you get into the whole action part of the actual trailer, as you go through this. And then more action. There's Poe Dameron and B2, I can't remember his name now. I love that character. It's B2, B2, I can't remember the name. But anyway, explosions, not sure what's happening there. There's the Millennium Falcon and some TIE fighters, not TIE fighters. Yeah, is it TIE fighters? I can't remember now. It's X-Wings, no, it's TIE fighters. And so, and there's a really cool shot of Kylo Ren. He's back, scarred up from the original battle, and he looks really intense in this. One of the things that from the Force Awakens, I thought Kylo Ren was a lot more menacing whenever he had his helmet on, but then that one, I think it was done for a purpose, so he looks way more menacing there. And I think that's Phantasma. She survived from the last one, so that's her more shinier suit, and hopefully she has a lot more screen time here, okay, that she does more. And space battles, of course, every Star Wars has to have a space battle. And the last shot is with Luke Skywalker saying, the Jedi, it has to end. Their time has come to an end. And so, not really sure what he means by that. But at this point, basically the Sith and the Jedi are pretty much done in terms of their existence. And now there will be a new force, okay? And you're not really sure whether or not Luke is on the dark side or the Force. And I think that's the whole point of this trailer. It's really ambiguous. And there's it says Star Wars The Last Jedi versus the original Star Wars, or in the original trilogy, it was Star Wars Return of the Jedi, or the original title was Revenge of the Jedi. Now it is The Last Jedi. And what did I think overall of this trailer? I think it was a good trailer. I'm not like as super stoked about it as many people are, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, like a lot of these Star Wars type movies, now that they're coming out every year, I'm not as excited about them. You know, I really did enjoy Rogue One, the movie before that, and then Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It was good, but you know, I wasn't like super hyped up about it. You know, and I think a lot of times that happens when they're kind of rebooting things, because you really have to stay true to what the majority of fans want, because if you try too many different things, then you'll alienate a lot of your fan base. Okay, and one of the things that they're doing with each of these Star Wars movie is that they're actually having different directors, and in this case the director of this one is going to be Rian Johnson, who did a wonderful job of directing the movie Looper. I really enjoyed that movie, and I've never seen the other ones he did, Brick or The Brothers Bloom, but this looks to be a lot more serious take, very similar to Rogue One, where it was a lot more serious, you know, more grounded in, I guess, as much of reality as you would expect out of the Star Wars universe. And I really like that aspect. You know, it's a lot better than like say episodes 1 through 3, where it was real cheesy and campy. Okay, so overall I really did enjoy this trailer. However, I don't think it's as awesome as a lot of people are liking it, you know, and I can't blame them, because Star Wars, it garners a lot of excitement for everyone, you know. But once again, it's because that they're releasing it every year. The anticipation for another Star Wars type movie, it's not as high as it used to be, where you would have to wait, you know, almost a decade, you know, or more for the next one to come out. And so with that being said, it leads to my own Star Wars memories, you know, like how I got into Star Wars and the things that I remember the most about it. Now, when I was real young, the first time I saw anything with Star Wars, I was at a movie theater. I think I was there with my parents, and we weren't there to go watch Star Wars. Okay, and at the time, the movie Return of the Jedi was out in the theaters. Okay, so that kind of tells you how old I am. So back then, we just walked past a theater, and all I saw was the screen, and then I saw these bright lights, a blue one, or I'm sorry, green one and a red one, just hitting each other. And then I saw this dark guy with a helmet, and then another guy in a black clothing, and then I saw space in the background, and it looked so cool. I mean, it was just like, it's awesome. I mean, as a kid, when you see something like that, you're like, wow, that looks so awesome. And you could see it, you know, I could see it. I could see what was going on in the theater, just that seeing. And obviously that was a Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and it was the very final scene where Darth Vader was fighting Luke Skywalker. And from there, I was like, wow, that looks so awesome. And that's only like a few moments of seeing it. So then fast forward later, when Star Wars, I finally knew what it was, but I didn't ever see the movies yet, you know. So if I remember correctly, it wasn't until Star Wars came out on VHS tape, you know, and that I actually got to watch Star Wars. Now, they did show Star Wars in TV as well, if I remember correctly, but my first real experience was through VHS tapes. It was these original ones, you know, and then later on, obviously, they released the special editions, which I didn't really like, but this was the original that I watched. And when I watched that, I was just like, man, I was just blown away. Being a kid, I've never seen anything like that. And you know, when you're a kid and you watch some of these things, and since you are a kid, you haven't experienced a lot of things or watched a lot of movies, I wouldn't think at that age. But when you see something like that, and it's such an amazing thing, that it really sticks with you. And that's what Star Wars did for me, the original trilogy, because to this day, the original Star Wars trilogy is still my all-time favorite movies. They're top notch. I don't think there's ever going to be a trilogy or a set of movies that's ever going to be better than that, regardless of what category it's in. That's my opinion. Definitely for sci-fi fantasy, they're my favorite. And out of the three, my favorite, and this is something that I think I don't think the majority of Star Wars fans will agree with, but a lot of Star Wars fans would pick The Empire Strikes Back as the best. Okay, but for me, it was Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, it's the Ewoks. I know people might laugh at that, but I love the Ewoks. You know, and I even watched the movies afterwards, Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, and there were some other movies after that, but that's the one that I remember. There's another one right here. I can't see the title there, but there was another Ewok movie as well. But I really remember Ewoks, The Battle of Endor, and it was absolutely awesome. And Warwick Davis was the one who played the main Ewok, and I can't even remember the Ewok's name, but I absolutely Wicket. That's right. I'm sorry, Wicket. Loved it, loved it. I even really enjoyed Ewoks: The Path of Endor. So funny as it is, that's the first reason why I love Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. Okay, because when I was young, you're watching that. They're cool, you know. They're really adorable teddy bears who could kill you with a spear. So that was really funny. But other than that, the Star Wars Return of the Jedi, it just had so much action. There was so much cool things going on, you know. And as a kid, when you see all that, you're just like speechless, you know. Your eyes just get bigger, and you're just like watching and just absorbing it, just trying to understand what's going on in terms of everything that's affecting you. But at the same time, as you get older and as you understand why things are happening, the characters behind it, the story, and then it really got me interested in the original too. Okay, so I really started watching Return of the Jedi first. The first time I saw it, a few clips in the movie theater, and then when I actually watched the actual movies itself on VHS tape, I actually started out with Return of the Jedi because that's the one that I remember just seeing a few clips on. And so I kind of went backwards, okay? But being a kid, I didn't really know the whole storyline and everything, so it didn't really affect my enjoyment of it. And as as time grew on, as you get older, I just started appreciating it more and more and more because George Lucas did an amazing job with this movie because although it was quote unquote made for kids, it had so many elements underneath. You know, there's so many ways that you could look at Star Wars and find something out of it that pertains to almost any age that you're living in, which is absolutely incredible for a movie to have that type of impact. Now, as mentioned, after the VHS tape came out, there was actually the special editions, and there was also a Laserdisc edition as well. So later on, I did have a Laserdisc player. I actually had it's a Pioneer Laserdisc player, which is awesome. And this is way before DVDs and Laserdisc players have been around since the 80s. But when I got that, I actually did get this one right here. And it was awesome. It was in widescreen, you know. So just remember, widescreen was not something that was normal. Okay, it wasn't until later when we started having more widescreen TVs that they released special edition, widescreen editions. I had all of these VHS tapes. I wish I still had them. And then when I got my Laserdisc, that was the best edition. Okay, I'm definitely not a fan of the special editions when they edited the different scenes and the ending scenes and even cleaning up the special effects. I just did not enjoy it. I really enjoyed the original, and the Laserdisc edition, to me, that was the definitive edition. And especially if you could get like I think this was maybe they had a Criterion edition, maybe not, but they had a really extended collector's edition, like this one, which is awesome. You know, I didn't have any of these. Yeah, the definitive collection. So I didn't have any of these. I had the regular one, and even then, that was absolutely awesome. I had my home theater set up. I had my Laserdisc. It was awesome. So out of all the mediums that I had it, and obviously I had it as a DVD as well. But the funny thing is, the one that I enjoyed the most was the Laserdisc because of the fact that at the time that it came out, it was just state of the art, and it was so good. And there's just something about having a huge Laserdisc. It's just it's like having a record. You know, you feel like, wow, it's a lot more because it's so massive. So my favorite edition is the one on Laserdisc. It's kind of weird, but that's the one that I enjoyed. And so with that, you know, my love for Star Wars never died. It actually grew better, stronger and stronger, and I enjoyed it more and more. And so moving on, whenever the new trilogy or prequels came out, I was like every other person who really loved Star Wars when they was a kid, I was extremely excited about this brand new prequel trilogy. I was like, the trailers look awesome. Darth Maul looked incredible. I was just like, I can't wait to watch this. This is gonna be maybe better than the original Star Wars, but as we all know, that was not the case. I was so disappointed in all three of them, actually, and it's even more disappointing the fact that it was George Lucas again who he didn't direct all of them, and he didn't direct all of the original neither. But you know, it's just like, it's very disappointing, you know. And I definitely hated Jar Jar Binks, but honestly, out of all the three, I didn't really enjoy any of them, you know. But the one that I enjoyed the most, if I had to pick, was, oddly enough, the third one in the series, similar to Return of the Jedi. I enjoyed that one the most, you know. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just I love action, okay? And then obviously there were other things. There were Star Wars, the Clone Wars on the Cartoon Network. I watched a few of that. I'm not really into that. And then we heard about Star Wars The Force Awakens. And, once again, you get excited, but now you've actually seen the prequels. And so, you're kind of hesitant, like, are they going to do the same thing that they did with the prequels? And at the same time, this is after Lucasfilm had already been sold to Disney, and so George Lucas wouldn't be part of this in a big way. So there's a lot of unknowns here, and thankfully when it did come out, I would definitely say the Star Wars, as I mentioned earlier, Force Awakens is definitely a good movie, okay? Although it could have been a great movie, and I understand why Abrams and mainly Disney as a company, they really had to keep things safe, okay? In terms of don't try to do too many different things. And to me, Star Wars The Force Awakens was more of a rehash of the original Star Wars trilogy, okay? They kind of put all of that together in one. There's so many scenes that are reminiscent of various scenes from the original trilogy. And so, not a bad movie at all. A good movie, but not great movie, okay? And then after that, Rogue One came out, and I was very impressed with that. I was actually pleasantly surprised that it was a much better movie, in my opinion, than the Star Wars The Force Awakens. And it was more realistic, it's more gritty, and it actually took more time with the different side of Star Wars, once again a prequel that we didn't really know much about, unless you were like a huge Star Wars fan and you followed all the various books and comics and stuff that came out of it. And so that one was a really good movie. So me and my brother watched both of these, and we both agreed on the same thing, that Rogue One was a better movie than Force Awakens. And at the same time, it gave us a lot of hope, like, well, maybe the other movies that are going to be coming out every year, it's going to be good, it's good or better, so that gave me a lot of hope. And now with The Last Jedi, with the latest trailer, I think it will continue that trend that Rogue One started, where now that the original Force Awakens, they actually proved that, okay, there's still a lot of a demand for Star Wars, and they made a lot of money, then they could take more risks with this other ones. And here's Finn, this shot. But they could take a lot more risks with the Star Wars, trilogy, or whatever other movies come out. I think there's one more in this brand new trilogy, which they haven't named it yet in the official name. But it just goes to show that because they had successes, and I didn't think that there was no way that they wouldn't have success, but they had to have a lot of success for Disney and all the other people involved financially would be able to basically fund the rest of these movies. And so hopefully this next one is going to be really awesome. I really hope that they take more risks, similar to what Rogue One did. And I'm really confident that with the actual director, and I can't remember who directed the last one, Rogue One. I can't remember his name right now, but both really great directors. I think it was Gareth Evans who did the Rogue One. And so I'm really interested to see what he does, because although the characters can be the same, even the actors and actresses could be the same, with the right director and also the right script writers, you could have a completely different experience. I just go back to the original Star Wars prequel 1 through 3. They had a lot of the same people, behind the scenes. Even John Williams, the composer, and so forth. The same creator, director, George Lucas. And so that didn't turn out too well, And they, obviously, George Lucas owns ILM, which is one of the premier special effects studios in the world. And the prequels, the effects were horrible, in my opinion. They look so fake. Okay. Now, with that being said, I think what Disney now that they own all these Star Wars property, I really think that they're taking the next Star Wars trilogies and whatever other properties that they create out of this onto a different level. Okay, in terms of the actual storylines, in terms of the actual tone of the Star Wars movies, and since they're going to be doing this yearly, who knows how long that's going to last, they're going to be able to take more risks, they're going to be able to expand the universes in ways that, most people maybe would be surprised by, and I hope that's the case. It's going to be a really difficult thing, I think, because much like the whole comic book movie craze, at some point I think people get burnt out, and I hope that doesn't happen with Star Wars. But at the same time, I think it's almost inevitable that you will get kind of a burnout because it's not as quote unquote special as it is when it's only released like once every decade and so forth. And so those are my thoughts first on Star Wars The Last Jedi official teaser trailer. I think it's a really good trailer. I really enjoy the fact that studios are actually becoming a little smarter now and leaving a lot of things to mystery. Not telling the whole movie in a trailer, that's a good thing. And I really think Rian Johnson, the director, is going to do a really great job in bringing this next chapter of the Star Wars new trilogy to the people, and so that's going to be great. And also reliving some of my own Star Wars memories, just I still love this trilogy. I could watch it. I think I've watched it, I don't know, maybe thousands of times, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. So it's really nice to reminisce on it, and it's really amazing how long Star Wars has been around, how many properties that it's had, how many other spin-offs, and how many people it's affected. It's affected a lot of people. So I never really think of Star Wars, at least the original trilogy, okay, because that's really near and dear to me. I never really think of them as movies. I think of them more as like a life-changing event, as probably maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but I really think it is, because I think a lot of people, because of what the original Star Wars trilogy did, it really affected what they did later on in life and who they became, And I'm thinking these other movies, for kids who this is their first time with Star Wars, I think it'll have a similar effect. Okay. However, I don't think it's ever going to be to the same level as the original trilogy. Okay. So those are my thoughts on the Last Jedi trailer and also my Star Wars memories. And so if you had any of your own thoughts on the Last Jedi or your own thoughts on your own Star Wars experience, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. I'd always like to hear what other Star Wars fans think. And I'm not a super duper huge Star Wars fan. I'm not doing cosplay or anything, but I love Star Wars. Okay, so I would also like to hear what other people think as well, whether they are a super hardcore fan or just somebody who just really enjoys it. So that's it for this episode. As always, if you did get a lot of value out of these videos, leave a like and subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another episode.